I've become a student of business relationships. What works? What doesn't? Really understanding their significance and how they can help you grow personally and professionally.
Build remarkable relationships. Make no mistake about it, performance trumps all. You have to be competent, you have to be capable, you have to understand how to articulate your unique value proposition. But relationships create that edge. I was in Dubai several times last year. I'm headed to Barcelona and Portugal next month. And every international trip reiterates that the rest of the world builds relationships first from which they do business. Unfortunately, many of us as North Americans are so focused on the business part that if and only if the business part works, we'll think about building a relationship. Hence the disconnect when we go into environments and they don't look like us, sound like us, or come from our backgrounds.
I ask a lot of senior people, you know a lot of people. Respectfully, so what? How many of them will return your calls and emails within 24 hours? How many of them call you to ask, how you doing?
The very foundation of your success heavily depends on the diversity, the quality of the relationships you build, and the investment efforts you choose to make in those relationships.
There's a strategic value in relationships. Sociologists will tell you that an average individual can proactively manage about 100 to 150 relationships. Which ones? How do you know? And if you can't invest in everybody equally, how will you then prioritize which relationships you're going to invest in?
That your relationship focus determines your direction. And that direction will define your destination. You're going to have to become very savvy at all the different relationships you manage. One of the misperceptions about relationships that is purely external. Customers, partners, outside of this place. I would submit a big asset for you this next year is going to become your intra-company relationships.
And if you empower the customers to share the good, the bad, and the ugly, including the ugly, what they do is they become evangelists for you. And I would submit to you that evangelism is a new business model. Evangelism is what's going to help you recruit. Evangelism is going to help you get into new markets. Somebody else talking about you, somebody else helping to toot your horn is what's going to help create that pull, personally or professionally. Your prospects aren't these neat little buckets we tend to put them in, but rather a web of relationships. They're very connected.
I recently asked the chief financial officer of a $12 billion business, how many clients have you seen in the last 6 months? Any guesses? I said, respectfully, are you telling me you got your finger on the pulse of this business by looking at a bunch of financials? Because one of my mentors drove into me, nothing will ever replace feet on the street. Circle for me strategic, because most people get the first two. They've got personal friends, poker, golf. They got functional friends within the organization. They miss out on strategic relationships who can help you see considerably further down the road.
Many understand that relationships are important. Very few embrace and really leverage their significance.
There's a lot of interest in this idea of future of work. What will happen in the next 10, next 20 years that will dramatically change the way we work, we live, we play?
Creativity, collaboration, change.
The 3 C's are going to continue to be drivers of fundamental problem solving, of fundamentally leveraging technology to do the heavy lifting. We don't need more data, even though I believe data is the real renewable energy. We need insights from that data that helps us think differently and lead differently. We're all on a trajectory. We're all on a status quo growth trajectory. Curve benders are relationships we meet who dramatically change both our direction and ultimate destination. What are these capabilities? What are the skills, knowledge, and behaviors you need to gain to both understand where your strengths, your growing edges are, but also what you can bring to others? What are the critical forces you may not realize today, but they can dramatically change, they can add so much value to the impact that you create? They're all around us. Are you savvy enough to seek them out? How can you become one? Those and a lot more in this brand new book titled Curve Benders. How can we take the mundane tasks that we're all pushed to do and really elevate those roles to more knowledge workers? How do we solve problems? How do we start to anticipate the needs of our relationships and bring technology and bring workflow and processes to solve those, not just today, but in the future?